You know that feeling, right? When you land on a website and everything just works. It's a joy to use. And then there's the other kind, the app that makes you want to tear your hair out. Well, that feeling is user experience. But how do you go from just a gut feeling to an actual concrete plan to make things better? That's exactly what we're going to break down right now.
So, here's the big question. How do you actually measure something that feels so subjective, so personal? I mean, if you can't measure it, how in the world can you improve it? Well, today, we're going to learn how to build a ruler for feelings. Let's get into it.
All right, here's our game plan broken down into 5 simple steps. First, we're going to figure out how to turn those fuzzy ideas into cold, hard numbers. Then we'll build a really powerful tool to guide our entire process. We'll look at 2 key moments for testing your designs, check out the different tools you can use, and finally, figure out how to make sense of everything you've found. Okay, let's dive right in with part 1, creating our system of measurement. This is all about taking a big, abstract idea and breaking it down into small, specific things that we can actually count or time.
Everything, and I mean everything, starts with what we call a UX goal. Now, this isn't about what a product does, it's about how using it makes someone feel. So, picture a ticket kiosk at a train station. The goal isn't just to sell a ticket. A much better goal is walk up ease of use. The idea that anyone, even someone who's never seen it before, can just walk up and buy a ticket, no stress, no confusion. See, we're designing for a feeling.
So, we have this goal of ease of use. Great. But how do we know if we actually achieved it? That's where UX measure comes in. This is the specific thing we're going to watch to see if we're on the right track. For ease of use, a fantastic measure is initial user performance. Basically, how well does a brand new user do when they try it for the first time? And finally, this is where we get to the actual numbers, the UX metric. This is the specific value, the data point we get from our measure. So for our measure of initial user performance, a perfect metric would be average time on task. And just like that, we've done it. We've gone from a vague feeling, ease of use, to something you can literally measure with a stopwatch.
Okay, so we've got our 3 key ingredients, the goal, the measure, and the metric. Now let's put them all together with a tool that will become the blueprint for our entire evaluation plan. And here it is, the UX target table. Now, I know what you're thinking. It looks like a simple spreadsheet, but trust me, this table is your command center. It's your blueprint for success. This is the single most powerful tool for organizing your thoughts and making sure you don't miss a single thing. Let's break this down. The first 3 columns are all about setting the scene. We've got work role, that's who we're designing for, say a casual ticket buyer. Then the UX goal, that's the experience we want them to have, like our walk-up ease of use. And finally, the UX measure, what we'll be watching, like their initial performance. Simple enough, right? Okay, now we get even more specific. The measuring instrument column is where we define our exact tool. This could be a very specific task we ask them to do, like buy a special event ticket. And next to that, the UX metric is what we're going to be counting. Are we timing them? Are we counting their errors? We write it down right here.
And this is where the magic really happens. This is where we get real. We establish a baseline level. How does the current system perform? Maybe right now it takes people an average of 3 minutes. Then right next to it, we set our target level. This is our goal for the new design. We want to get that time down to 2.5 minutes. Boom, we've just defined what success looks like in plain numbers.
So, with our blueprint all ready to go, we need to decide when we're actually going to evaluate. And there are 2 main ways to think about this. And honestly, the best way to explain the difference is with a little analogy about soup. I love this quote because it makes it so clear. Formative is when the cook tastes the soup while they're cooking to see if it needs a little more salt, a little more pepper. It's all about making improvements along the way. Summative is when the guests taste the final product, the finished dish, to decide if it was good or not. It's the final judgment. So let's put that in more official terms. Formative evaluation happens during the design process. The whole point is to find and fix problems. And usually, you're collecting qualitative, descriptive data, like what people are saying. Summative evaluation happens after the design is done. Its goal is to assess the overall success, and it almost always relies on quantitative, numerical data, like success rates and times. Okay, so you know when you want to test, but what are you actually going to do to get the data? It's time to look at the investigator's toolkit and choose our methods. All the methods you can use basically fall into 2 big families. First, you have analytic methods.
This is where experts inspect the design using principles and checklists. No real users are involved. Think of it like an architect reviewing a blueprint for flaws. Then you have empirical methods. This is where you bring in real users and watch them actually try to perform tasks. This is where the rubber really meets the road.
Now this grid right here is super helpful because it pulls everything together. It shows you that there's no one single best way to do this. You can map these methods on two scales. Are they analytic or empirical? And are they rigorous or rapid? So you could do a quick and dirty expert review, which is analytic and rapid. Or you could do a full-blown lab study with tons of users, which would be empirical and rigorous. The key is picking the right tool for where you are in your project and for your budget.
All right, you've done it. You ran your tests, you collected your data, you've got notebooks full of observations, spreadsheets full of numbers. So, now what? The final step is turning all of that raw material into smart, actionable decisions. Okay, take a deep breath. I know what you're thinking when you see this flowchart. Whoa, that looks complicated. And you're not wrong, it does. But the core idea behind it is actually really simple. This is just a visual way of showing how you take a big, messy pile of qualitative data, like user comments, quotes, and video clips, and organize it into something you can actually use. Let's just boil that crazy diagram down to 3 simple steps. First, you take all your individual observations, things you saw that went wrong, and you turn them into defined problem instances. Second, you start to merge similar instances from different users into a single problem record. You're finding patterns. And finally, you group those related problems together to find the real underlying root cause you need to fix. You're going from chaos to clarity. Now, the quantitative data, this part is so much more straightforward. You just do the math. You compute your summary statistics like the average time on task or the error rate, and you plug those numbers straight into the observed results column of that beautiful UX target table we built earlier. And here it is, the moment of truth. With the table completely filled out, we can do a simple side-by-side comparison. We look at our observed results, and we compare them to the target level we set for ourselves. Did we do it? And in this example, as you can see, for every single goal, the answer is a clear no. So what does that no mean? Is the whole thing a failure? Do you just pack it up and go home? Absolutely not. This data isn't a report card, it's a treasure map. It's pointing you to exactly where the problems are and where you need to start digging to make your design even better. So I'll leave you with this question. Is a test that shows you all your flaws a failure, or is it the absolute best first step toward success?